in our backyard. And Pam, such an honor to do this with you. Thank you for inviting me. Pam Sherman is remarkable. I know there's some people here that know us from FQ that are getting to know Pam. So I'm really excited for you all to get to know her tonight and more about your book, because I've learned so much from it. I'm going to share just a little bit of background, and then we'll dive into
Should we say how
questions.
we met, though?
Let's talk about how we met.
So, of course, Talia Bender-Small, I'll make the introduction, is the president of the Female Quotient, making a difference, impact around the world, ensuring that inclusion, belonging, and fairness plays out at work and at home and in all aspects of our lives. So I'm so honored. I've gotten to know her first from afar, and then how lucky are we that our husbands met? And I said, and they said, and they're here tonight. Always having an amazing partner really helps for equity at home. And they said, oh, you two should meet. I'm like, I already know who she is. And then we got a chance to meet. I tried to bring you into a bunch of clients, and the Female Quotient was kind enough to have me come and talk about my book at the Possible Conference. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. I think Pam is the first person that I've ever met through business through my husband. Because we work in total opposite fields. So this is like extra. This is not a regular occurrence.
Yeah, my husband cleans out dirty restaurants, old used restaurant equipment.
And Pam, when she came to our event at Possible, got everyone up, standing, dancing. So please expect maybe a little bit this is going to be fun. We're going to make this fun. Okay, so let's just give a little bit of background on you. You're an actor, writer, leadership consultant, and recovering lawyer. I don't think we've ever had any intro with all those titles in one. People magazine actually profiled you for this because it was such an interesting transition to go from courtroom to stage, as you say. We've talked already. You've been such a dear friend and mentor, and like truly talk about an advocate for women. So thank you. These days you travel the globe speaking, facilitating, coaching leaders on finding their edge. I was going to explain what edge is, but I think I'm going to not take the spotlight on that.
Do you want to know what it is?
We want to know what it is.
Well, my husband is from Geneva, New York, not Switzerland, which is kind of a bummer. And when I met him, I'm from Staten Island, New York, which is a very dark place. I mean, it's a really wonderful place. But he said, you're very edgy, like it was a bad thing. And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, edge is a good thing. It means I explore, I dream, I grow, and I excite. And it became, because I'm a lawyer, I think in acronyms, because it's the only way we can remember the defenses to murder. But in this case, it really became a platform and a foundation for me for how I both live my life and I perform the work that I do for leaders and teams. So they can have an edge in their life too. And it's how we organized the book. I insisted that I use the Explore, Dream, Grow, and Excite model so that people could understand there was a through line to who I was to what I was offering the world.
I think that's one of the things I appreciate most about the book. It's so easy to read and follow, and it actually gives you real exercise. So we're going to start actually going through Edge. That's how I want to start. And let's just talk. The book is Play You, the Role of a Lifetime, all about the believability gap. Did you coined the phrase? Maybe
yes,
we're going to claim it.
I'd like to say
we're
that.
Claim that you coined the phrase.
Well, it became very interesting to me because I often hear people say, I'm authentic, and being authentic in the world is, and of course being authentic is incredible. But what I learned as an actor is that authenticity is all about you. Believability is about you and the audience that you serve or you want to impact or you want to influence. And so that became deeper to me. I wanted there to be an understanding of how do you believe in yourself, but then how do you get others to believe in you too? Because that's the most important currency we have in the world, is this golden thread that we have between us and our audiences. You are not you in a vacuum.
And okay, so you just explained a little bit, you gave context on believability gap. Can you also just explain a little bit on how you came up with Edge, and then we'll go through each section of Edge?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I wanted it to be about exploring who you are, starting with you, even though my favorite line is it's really not about you ultimately in the end. It's ultimately about everyone else that you serve. So that exploration is understanding the connections between yourself, what's important to you, where your power comes from, and that whole journey. So should we talk a little bit about what
Yeah,
that
I mean,
is?
okay, so let's break down each strategy
Yes.
because I did a deep dive.
I love it.
I came up with my power words, which we're going to get to. Okay, so first let's talk about exploring your character.
Yes.
What does this mean in practice? Because many of us maybe haven't read and done deep dive. And what are the best methods that people should go about doing this?
Well, it's interesting because for me, when I really discovered the believability gap, and if I could just go back a little bit, I had always dreamed of being an actor. I used to play the piano with the door wide open on Staten Island, hoping that a wandering talent agent would hear me sing. Why are you laughing? They do. They don't wander the streets of Staten Island. And I came from a very traditional family. My father was an OBGYN and my mother was a Freudian psychoanalyst, which was super confusing growing up. And to them, being an actor was just not the path I was going to take. So instead, I thought it would be like LA Law. I'm totally aging myself. And that I would be a lawyer like it was on TV. And the funny thing happened when I finally got through law school and started practicing. It wasn't like that at all. And I didn't feel like I could be myself in the role that I was playing, lawyer. I found my confidence was tamping down. I wasn't as creative. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, which is to solve my clients' problems and have all the judges and juries and the other side believe in me in negotiations. So I decided to go back and take an acting class in my spare time as a young lawyer, which is ridiculous.
What really sparked that? Like what made that, what was the push?
Misery. I was being on the floor of the office with the door shut and literally crying silently at the ceiling that I was not feeling right in my skin. And I will say, I came home and I said, I think I'm going to go take an acting class at the Shakespeare Theater, if anybody knows, in Washington. It's a fabulous theater, Ed Giro. And I get into this Saturday morning class and I realized all these people are not pretending. They're actually creating a collaboration of believability. They're working on their characters. They're exploring who that character is. So you, the audience, would go on a journey and want to sit there and watch them. And I realized that I started acting differently at work. People were asking me when I made partner, and I'm like, I'm not a partner, but and I don't want to be. But it was a real revelation to me that acting studio brought me back to where, in fact, my acting teacher from college is here tonight, to the work we did at American University with our body language and our full selves, and it changed everything for me. And then my law firm went out of business, and now I'm like, great, the secure profession is gone, and I got a call from the Department of Justice. And they said, can you help make our lawyers more interesting? And I said, no, although they are right now, aren't they? Super interesting. And I realized, why couldn't I help them learn the skills that actors learn so that they could tell great stories, so that they could show up and people would want to follow them. And that really took me around the world. And I realized I liked it a lot better than, frankly, being on stage.
Okay, before we get back to Edge, though, I want to ask you a question on that, which is like a lot of us will take courses or learn things, but then it's really hard to bring it actually in practice back to your real life.
Yes.
How did you help teach in the early days? Now you do this more regularly, but how did you like take that learning and bring it into practice for corporate?
It's funny because when I first started, I talked about acting all the time, and then I started to identify with my corporate captors in the same way. And I was like, oh, we can't talk about acting here, we're a medical device company, and they're engineers, and they'll be so frightened of you. And I'm like, I'm frightened of them. They're engineers, or the finance team. You can't talk about, feelings with the finance team. And I realized if I could bring it down to elemental ideas of character development, meaning, who are you at the core? What do you believe in? AKA values, right? They all had the values up on the wall for the company. You have to have your own values. They might be different for you than what the company espouses, and you have to bring who you are into these teams and hallways and in individual interactions So I always knew it wasn't going to be about presentation skills. There are very wonderful people who know how to do that. For me, it was about how can you really be fully who you are for and with others.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Okay. So one of the sections you talk about is finding your power words and power drivers.
Yes.
So we're going to do an exercise in a minute with everyone, which I'm really excited about. But can you just share at a high level how people should go about forming those? And you talk a lot about this. You can read more in the book.
So I've done this exercise now, I can say, with thousands of people around the world.
Wow.
And I do it with 500 people in an audience or 80 people at a bookstore. And it's all about, if you could think of one word that defines you at the core. And honestly, I came up with it because I couldn't come up with my word. And I was a little lost. And I wanted to figure out how I wanted to be in the world. And my word came to me as a gift. Someone came up to me at an event in Casablanca, Morocco, of all places, and said, "Thank you for sharing your energy with us." I was like, oh, that's my word.
That's your word.
And it's the word that I want everyone to understand about me. It's the one I have to pay attention to. If I'm not paying attention to my energy, how can I help other people with their energy? And so if you had to think of one word, and there's only two rules, it can't be situational: hot, late, tired, hungry, right? And it'd have to be self-aware. So, you know, the person who says they're inspirational and everyone in the room is going, yeah, that's not the word I would use.
How many times has that happened? Many.
It was one guy for sure. But my favorite was, you know, the words that come out are marvelous, and they're, you know, I've had clients struggle with it, and then when in the moment people will come up with it. And this one kid, 21-year-old intern in San Francisco at the largest experiential marketing company in the world, he said, "Oh, my word's leader." I'm like, "Really?" He said, "My mother said I'm a leader, therefore I am." And I'm like, wow, okay.
There you go.
I'm dying to know what happened to him.
There you go. Okay, so can we
He's
do a
running
little
the company.
exercise with everyone? Okay, so we're going to do a preview exercise, and then please go do the full thing with the book. But can everyone close their eyes? And would love for everyone, we're going to spend a full minute on this. Think about the core defining word that is the foundation for your character. And then we're going to maybe call on a few brave people to share their words. Okay, so we're going to give everyone a minute. And add
Share it
anything.
with each other.
Or share with each other. Okay, so we're going to give everyone a minute to really spend time on this.
How do you want to be perceived? When are you feeling your best self? When are you having that day, you know, the great hair day, metaphorically and actually?
Did we give enough?
I feel like that's enough time. Okay, so turn to your partner or turn around and talk to somebody you haven't met yet, if you're willing, and share your word. This is the best part.
So fun. Do you like that I brought in interactivity for you?
And it is funny, like, it's such a great exercise. I've done it with 500 people. And
we should bring this we should make this a segment at every event.
Yes. Because this is where their power lies. Look at the energy in the room, right?
People want to connect.
Yes. How is the baby? Did she have her baby? Alexa, right?
Yes. You're so sweet. She did get a girl. Mackenzie.
Beautiful.
How old are your children?
Zach is 30, and one of his, he's not in the wedding party, but one of his best friends is here, he went to MIT with, and he's going to be singing at the wedding. Yeah, sorry. And then you can get some far shots from the back. I think you can get some far shots from the back if you want.
Oh, I have them.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we're going to
How do
bring
we
it
get you back? Hi. Oh, God.
I know, I love that. Okay, we're going to bring it back. Maybe we'll call on...
Oh, there you go. So you know what's so exciting? Just from the silence, that sort of beautiful quiet, where people were feeling it. I love it. We can't stop them talking. Neil Sherman, you're the one. Neil Sherman, love you to pieces. So from that beautiful quiet, to the energy that happened in the room and the smiles and the instant understanding of who you are with one word. So, my friend, you want to share your word?
Yes.
Yes, one word.
Love.
Oh, yes. I have been in her presence, and you feel that. It emanates. Thank you. Who else wants to throw out another word? Right in the back.
Hi. So first I just want to say, I didn't know you were the CEO of Female Crochet. You're my favorite account on LinkedIn.
Our head of social and our head of marketing are right here, who run it all.
There you go. Aren't you glad you came out?
Social media, so I'm like, yes.
Woo, thank you.
My word is fire.
Oh, yes.
Woo.
Thank you
We
for
feel
sharing
that
your
from you.
fire. Anybody else? Right back. This is the lady I met at the airport a month ago in Washington, D.C.
I'm Nicole, and I met Pam in Atlanta.
Yes.
We had a layover, and we were both sitting there waiting for a plane that was delayed like an hour, and we started talking, and here we are. And I showed up.
Thank
That's
you.
what we do. I learned so much.
Woo.
Yes.
Love that.
Everybody's like, I want what she's having.
Yeah.
Love, fire, resilient. I mean, honestly, I can tell you that no one ever picks a crappy word about themselves. They just don't. I mean, and if they do, I say,
You have-
let's
you
sit
have
with
to
that.
work on
and
that,
let's
yeah.
figure it out. And you can I can turn a crappy word into a good word anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really fun. Okay, so everyone has to go. Maybe we'll like collect everyone's and share them at some point.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Thank you.
Thank you all for participating in that exercise. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the next set of Edge. I love how you talk a lot about dreaming of your future story. This like really, I really appreciate this. We have to all manifest.
Yes.
So can you talk, and you probably maybe don't like that word, but can you talk a little bit about that section?
That's a very LA word. I've definitely, they didn't ask me that in Pittsburgh.
Welcome to Montana.
It's funny because I actually use vision like a muscle. I think having a vision is really important for believing in yourself, because I actually got really lucky and did some research, hired a PhD. I'm like, can you prove this point? Like, if you have a belief and a vision for your future, what does it do for you? And fascinating, because I was going to write a book called Embracing the Accidental Life, which I own all the URLs for. So if anybody works for an insurance company, it's yours. But the idea that if you have a vision, if something takes you off the path of that vision, something unexpected, something not great, something, it could be something great, right? But something you didn't expect. People who have a vision are more likely to get back on the path towards achieving it because they have it at all. And the story I tell in the book is the story of an incredible woman, my friend Amina Salawi, who was named by the World Economic Fund one of the most influential disability rights activists in the world. Fell off a bike in Costa Rica when her children were young, and she was with her husband on a beautiful vacation and became a paraplegic in that moment. And she went on to have a vision about her life while going through rehab in Rochester, Minnesota at the Mayo Clinic, while she had to go to Paris because there was no rehabilitation hospital in Morocco. She dreamed of building that hospital. She dreamed of changing the world for the disabled in her country and beyond. And she said, I'm going to have 2 more children with my husband. And she did, and that youngest one became an equestrian in the Olympics. I'm like, wow. She could fall off the horse. Don't do that. She's an incredible, that vision story to me became an active believability journey for her whole life. And seeing it, where she talks about what she's done looking back, I believe that if you don't have that vision, you won't achieve the ability to have a story from the past that can illuminate someone else's future, because that's really what vision does. And there's a great quote that is in the book about it's not what vision is, it's what vision does. And I think that's so important to have, because we talk about storytelling, but what's the stories we should actually know, right? What are the stories we should tell? That one is critical.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. We have to profile her, so we have to come back to her story. It's an amazing story. Okay, and then your last pillar, you talk a lot about rehearsing you. And this is something, it's actually interesting. I've been thinking about this a lot because with AI tools, which I know probably some of us are playing with, there's a lot of voice to text that you start getting used to. So it's actually I think plays an important role in getting more comfortable with rehearsing you.
Yeah.
And also with, especially women, we don't typically prioritize ourselves in the equation. So can you talk about rehearsing you? What does that actually mean in practice? How do we start? How should we be implementing that?
It is sort of a counterintuitive concept to say, play you the role of a lifetime, be believable, and then figure out rehearsing. But the concept really comes from how do we move the derailers that take us off our game. And so
What does that mean?
well, what's the biggest derailer that I have is my inner voice holding me back. And it could also be things like, time and whatever, there's external derailers. But for believability, I think we often have to remove the internal derailers. So some of them, and we have a whole exercise how you find your own derailer. I call it the archetypes, the anti-heroes in your head who hold you back. So hello, imposter, my old friend.
Do you want to hear a good one that we heard in the lounge?
Yeah.
A legendary woman in advertising says, "Shut that bitch up."
Yep.
In your head.
Exactly. But I say, talk to that. Like you would never talk to your best friend that way. So come up with a script, an alternative script than the narrative that you have. Rehearse you is, let's say I have to have a difficult conversation that I don't want to have with an employee or a child or somebody that is in your circle. Having that difficult conversation might require rehearsal. I guess AI is a tool to use for that, but and AI is an enhancer and an amplifier of our believability. It has to be used for that.
Yeah.
It can be helpful, but I also think I'm a big believer in the power of the pen.
Yeah.
That journaling, we all know the research that it imprints on our souls. It's an unconscious helpmate that AI can't. Thank goodness for good old-fashioned pen and paper.
I wrote all my notes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So AI can help you organize your thinking, but then you have to go and rehearse yourself what it is you want to say. And I find doing that, and sometimes even finding a great accountability partners to do it with.
Really good idea.
Let's talk it through. Yeah.
What is like the best? Who's the best example of someone you've found that like totally moved all derailers aside?
Well, it's so funny because it's the opening story in the book. All the stories have been fictionalized. And I love when my clients say, was I that guy in the book? And I'm like, oh, not that one. No. But there was, a client that I worked with who, my favorite stories are when they call me and they say, I didn't think I could do the role like the person who came before me, the vice president. And by the way, when we talk about women, we all know the research, it still stands true that women won't take the promotion until they feel they're absolutely ready. Whereas, thank you, men, you'll take it anyway and you'll figure it out along the way. So I work with a lot of women who say, well, I can't be the vice president of fill in the blank, marketing, in the medical world, whether it's, medical affairs or clinical affairs or all the roles that you can think of. I can't do it like the person before me. Well, why would you want to do it like the person before you? Let's go through the steps so you could play it like you. And, the person who got the promotion and private equity, bought the company because of the work she did, those are the success stories, and there are a myriad of them.
It is so much about, I want to ask you about confidence, and then we'll come back to your exciting, but it is so much about confidence, and I know you talk about that. And at the Female Quotient, the first phrase we ever coined was "confidence is beautiful," and it does come back to knowing yourself, believing in yourself. So, how did you find your confidence? Can you talk about that a little bit?
It was really funny. I had one client at the end of an engagement. We'd worked together for 6-7 months, one-on-one coaching. And she said, when are we going to do the confidence work? And I was like, we've been doing that all along. How do you feel? Well, I feel more comfortable in my role. I, had that difficult conversation with the, colleague who wasn't, doing what I needed him to do. It was, she's like, oh, that was confidence. I'm like, yes, confidence. I think it settles into us. Like you're wearing just the best coat that fits right. and it's not something that is put on. It just feels like you're in your own skin. How did it come to me? Well, my husband will tell you that before every speech, keynote, anything, he's like, oh, that's coming up, because I still get nervous. And I've learned that nerves doesn't mean I'm not confident. I still know that I can.
It means that you care.
It means I care. Well, there's a great quote from Sarah Bernhardt, attributed to her, from an actor who said to her, "Oh, I never get nervous before I go on." And the great Sarah Bernhardt said, "Well, people without talent rarely do." That was such a good, because to me, having it energizes me, and that's always the head fake. But the confidence, honestly, comes from doing the work. I did all this work. I did it on myself. I didn't know what I was going to do. I needed to start a company. I was first I was a lawyer, then I became an actor, and then I moved to Rochester, New York, where there was one Equity Theater and no film and television. And now I'm like, I got to figure out another thing to do. And a friend of mine, I thought about being a lawyer again, and he said, "Can you help my lawyers do what you do, with the way you talk to people and they talk back to you?" And I'm like, "You mean have a conversation?" And he said, "Yes." And I was like, I guess I can do that. And the first client I had, I was so nervous. I didn't know what I was going to do. And each client I have, I want to make sure that they're getting the value that they expect, but most important, that they have the confidence to go out and be who they are.
And how have you, the people, I love the example you shared before, you were working on it for months, how do people retain that confidence too?
Yeah, well, it is a muscle. Yeah, I often say, first of all, I leave them with the tools. I check in with them, but I also make sure, how many people are working in a large company here, and none of their leadership, they get their SMART goals for the year, and I look at them, I'm like, where is the thing about you? Where's the thing where your development is going to be continued? Where's the thing where you tell your boss, I'm working on being a better storyteller, and they're looking at how they can help you do that, and also giving you feedback about it. So there's that. And for me, it's also, I had a client who I worked with, and 10 years later, she became a CEO of the largest mental health practice in the country. Wow. Very important work. And she pulled out the notebook. I used to print out things and hand them out. And she said, "Here is all the work." And I took this and I use it over and over and over again. To me, that's why we wanted.
She kept rehearsing you.
She kept rehearsing it. But the book is meant to be, I want it to be written in. The publisher's like, "We should do a workbook." I'm like, okay, no, we want people to write in this book. I want, so that you can't give it away to somebody else. You have to buy it for somebody else. It's really brilliant, actually, now that I think about it. But that's not why. It's because I wanted it to be actionable.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're going to get back to Edge. We have to finish the last one, which is talk about exciting your audience. This is a big area for you. Can you share about that a little bit?
Yeah, because it's interesting. In my model, I saved the audience for the end because, often you're excited about your mission, and that's great. But you have to remember, you have to take people on a journey to be inspired by your mission to want to go along with you. Because to me, the definition of leadership is, and this sat on my husband's first boss's credenza. Does anybody remember what a credenza was? It was a plaque, and it said, "Leadership is the ability to communicate a vision and gain commitment to it." And that, to me, is the most important thing, is to ignite your audience around your mission, but then they want to follow it. They want to take that vision, and they amplify it. When I think about you coming as an intern to the Female Quotient, and now you're the president, and the amplification of the brand to 4 million followers, you are the vision that was in Shelley's, heart is amplified by igniting the audience around her, and now the audience of millions. So to me, you are doing exactly what the book talks about.
Well, thank you. How should others emulate, how to bring people on that journey? I think about Shelley in that quite a bit, because she's someone that people have followed and engaged with, and it's hard to nail that. And obviously everyone also has to think about who their audience is, but what that looks like. But can you share
Well, it's funny. My favorite story is the story of an advertising executive who was going to be here tonight, but she couldn't be here. But she told me I've got to give a speech, and I don't. It's first thing in the morning, like 7:30 in the morning, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the worst time of day. And she wanted to share like what it was to to create an event, and everything chaos happens, right? You never know what's going to happen at an event like tonight, like all of you. We didn't know what was going to happen, and so I said where it was going to be on the beach, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if you blow up like 50 beach balls and throw the beach balls out, and that's your opening, and everybody has to keep the beach balls up and not spill their coffee. It's a game, engaging the audience like we just did with you, and it was masterful. She got them standing up, throwing coffees flying everywhere, and then she said, now sit down. That's what experiential marketing is all about. And I use that story because it's really about, how can we engage our audience, get them involved, feel like they're in it. That's exactly what you do with every activation of the FQ Lounge around the world. So what's the thing you can do that's creative to get your audience to really want to be on the journey with you? Because you've got to prime their pump so they'll stay and listen to the rest of what you have to say. Right?
Love that example.
Yeah.
It's so good. We should do that. We're going to do that.
Beach balls on at Con Lion.
Yeah.
I'm coming though.
You're
I have to
coming.
throw
You're
the beach
coming.
balls out.
You're coming with us. Okay, you've shared a lot of examples, which have been amazing. What's your favorite example or story of someone who's really embraced Edge and totally transformed and all? One of the things that I really resonated, because we spend so much time at FQ, we're focused on work, but I love that Edge is really about your whole self.
Yes.
Which is super important. But what's your favorite transformation story?
Oh wow, that's
hard
hard. Okay, because
Or
I
one
feel
of
like
your favorites.
One of my favorites.
You've shared
Well, the executive who got stuck in COVID, and she wanted to motivate her team, and she's like, "What am I going to do?" She had just gotten this huge new role. The guy who came before her used to send an email out, and it was like Motivation Monday. And I was like, what if you start filming yourself at your house? Like, let's do little videos. And she's like, nobody's going to watch it. And I'm like, everybody's going to watch it because they're stuck at home and it's Monday. And she's like, but it's going to be in my house with my kids and the mess. And I'm like, exactly. They're all going through this. They're doing that. And I can't believe she did it. And I'm so proud. And every Sunday she sends me, she goes, is this good? I'm like, it's great. It wasn't. It didn't matter. It was okay that it was her. And when she started feeling comfortable being her, she put away. She would read these things that that the comms team would give her, and I'm like, yeah, let go of the script. And she got comfortable being her. And now I think she spoke at the Mass, Women's Conference and nailed it.
Wow.
Just was completely different.
Okay, I actually want to ask more on that, because a big focus right now for many executives and leaders and just people in general is building their personal brand online. And a big part of that is video.
Yes.
And so many leaders and people that we work with are so scared of going on video, and you just have to start. So much of it is starting, and it's the reps.
I'm terrible at it, I'm going to tell you, because I'm talking into my phone.
But
I'm
you'll
like,
go
oh my
for
gosh.
it. Go for it. That's what's stuck.
I think so. It's usually, dark at night, when and for me, look, I think you have to be who you are wherever you are in order to ignite your audience. You can't be, it's you're dealing with, how old are your kids?
3 and 5.
Yeah, you're trying to teach them how to, tie their shoes. That's leadership as far as I'm concerned, right? My poor kids never learned Velcro. Leadership shows up in the most interesting ways. So yes, we're all showing it online. I'm actually a believer in being really thoughtful about what I put out. And ensuring that there's some gift that I'm giving my audience in putting that brand online. Yeah. And that's why, it's about leadership is the ability to communicate a vision and gain commitment to it. I want emotionally connected followers, small but mighty, but, like the guy who just sent me an email today that he did one of the exercises in the book because he had his review. And we have a whole exercise. I say we because I worked with a wonderful editor. Her name is Larry Bishop, and I give her credit in the book because somebody had to listen to me cry my eyes out that I wasn't going to get this book done. Other friends did too, but they weren't going to actually help me write it. So she made me write it, but she helped wrestle it all into the form you see today. And there was an exercise about, instead of your role description at work, write your character description so that you can really understand who you are in the workplace. And he went in and he's like, and my boss loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Wow. Okay, so we're going to open up for audience Q&A in a couple minutes, but I just want to ask one more question, which is something that I spend a lot of time thinking about too, which is building relationships. And even just with the FQ community, we don't even use the word things like networking. It's about building real, true relationships. It's a theme that you talk a lot about in your book. And you talk about how being your true self allows you to build the deepest, most real, long-standing relationships. Can you share a little bit about that?
Can I say I'm a little feeling very emotional because when I look out and I see my college professor here and an old friend who just walked in the back, and one of my son's best friends, and two of a triplet set that I knew from birth. To me,
and you're very good at multi-generational friendships too, which is a unique skill.
Critically important because I learn more from you all than you can imagine. It's really important to me. I would say, to me, building relationships is a gift. Where I get way more out of it than I can give, but I know that it starts with what can I give. And it is that concept of it's not about you, it's about generosity. I think we need more. The golden thread of generosity in the world will actually help us all to deal with all the stuff happening in the world. And so to me, it's about deepening relationships, checking in with somebody, actually talking to them, knowing what's happening in their life,
and caring,
and that's what we really need more of. And so, just the fact that you're here.
You're so FQ. I mean, our whole thing too is like giving back with generosity. And I have to say, your book is such a generous book. You genuinely, I have experienced this with you personally. You want everyone to be their best selves. So thank you for gifting us with this. Really, thank you.
Thank you.
Applaud you on that. Thank you for that. I think we have time for a little bit of Q&A.
Yep.
Anyone have questions?
Please.
I want advice on my power words. Who wants to ask advice on your power words?
Everyone.
Any brave questions?
We're being live streamed,
Should
so
I
go ahead.
Should I say my power words and you can tell me which ones you like?
So it's funny. Your power. There's no critique for it.
There's no right or wrong. I have
through.
some of our FQers here that can say.
So what's your core defining word?
I was wrestling between positive and solution oriented.
I like positive because positive is solution oriented, don't you think? I think if you could have a bigger word that subsumes all the other words, go for it.
Then it's like a hack.
Yeah. So character beliefs for me switched around, so those are your core values. So for me, it was always excellence, but I had to sort of redefine it for myself and make it about integrity, holding myself accountable, and not being perfect, because excellence isn't perfection, but it's certainly striving for doing something better. Then there was family, but they can be complicated. So I decided to make it connectedness, because connectedness has meaning to me.
Beautiful.
And then the third one is humor, because I believe we need more lightness in the world. And so humor is about, how can I lighten up a room? That's all. What were yours? Did you pick your character beliefs?
No.
No.
I was too focused on my power words.
Yeah.
Any questions? I have one more if we don't. Okay, go ahead.
Are you acting anymore? Are you in acting classes?
So
Everyone wants to, we're all coming.
I hadn't acted for 13 years, and about 7 years ago, I was given the opportunity to go back on stage as my idol. Her name was Irma Bombeck. If I'm looking at women and having them shake their heads, and written a one-woman show written by twin sisters who were commissioned by the Bombeck family to write the show. One of them actually lives here in Pasadena. and we got to do the production 7 times around the country in exciting places like Cleveland and Des Moines and Denver, and I can tell you, we sold out every
Wow.
night in Des Moines. It was bananas.
It's amazing.
So we might, we've talked about bringing it out here because I think there would be, obviously, with one of the playwrights here, and the Bombeck family is here. If you don't know who Irma Bombeck was, she was the original brand builder. She was a housewife and mother in Dayton, Ohio, who took out her ironing board and started typing columns where she told the truth about what it was like to be a wife and mother with humor. She grew to over 900 newspapers.
Wow.
One of the, still holds the record for the greatest syndicated columnist of all time.
Wow.
Was on the Johnny Carson Show and Good Morning America. She is an icon. I've been trying to get her into the National Women's Hall of Fame, but they don't pick funny people. I don't know what it is. Her story is really, and being able to play her was such a gift. So thank you for asking that question. We might bring it back. But this was like I felt like I was having an Irma day between KTLA in the morning and I would do like 2 shows a day and then all the news. And so this has been a lot of fun.
Wow.
I saw another one.
Yeah.
For your all-encompassing word, and mine I chose light. When you find that you stray away from the word that embodies who you are through, the many jobs you have to have, or the certain things that happen to you in life, what are the core tools that you use? I haven't read your book, I'm so sorry, but I can't wait to. What are the tools that you recommend to return back to self and to your word?
Well, it's paying attention to it.
Yeah.
I have a journal, and on the front, it's all the things I have to do, and on the back, I actually put my core-defining word at the top of the page. Of energy, if I'm not taking care of my energy, if I'm not paying attention to my energy, what I'm putting out in the world, and I actually track it. So you can pay attention. It's really literally about paying attention to it. And, I love the story of Marshall Goldsmith, who I was really lucky to get him to give me an endorsement of the book. He's like 87 years old, and every day he checks 6 things a day, like, was I kind to somebody?
Wow.
Did I make an impact? And he puts it on a spreadsheet. Like, if you need to do that, I don't know if you want to make it a data, how's the data on the light? Do it the way you would do it. I would imagine AI would be a great tool for tracking your core defining word and whether you're keeping up with it. But I believe that journaling is a great tool, and we do it all throughout the book. So, so it's good old-fashioned muscle management and paying attention to it. But that's a great word. I want to meet you now, right? I want to know more. Yes. Hi.
Hey,
This is Gail.
Think back to Krieger Building, American U, Washington, D.C., room 6, acting class. My first acting class, Pam was in that, and 30 years later I retired from you. What skill sets did you acquire in your acting career, your acting training, that have brought you to this book?
Well, thank you, Gail, for being here. Gail taught me that I had something below the neck, that there was a body. No, seriously, like she said, because I was very cerebral, and I was doing all that work on backstory. I could really do a backstory like you couldn't believe for my characters. But she's like, wait a minute, you have to make this all encompassing. This is holistic. And for friends who are here who do holistic, wellness work, she taught me how to breathe. I'll never forget. I had an Alexander technique teacher who teaches us about our spine and our skeleton. And we have a whole chapter on let's get physical and, how your body language really can impact your audience and can make a difference for you. So I want to thank you, because I think you were the first person who put sneakers on me and said, let's run. I'm like, what does running around a track have to do with playing an old woman in the Rhymers of Eldritch? And I learned it. So thank you.
But what are those skill sets?
Well, you mean breathing, paying attention to your body. Yes. Am I answering the question?
You're being quizzed.
I didn't know you were going to get it.
No, I love it. Woo!
You just turned into a teenager.
I love it. The Socratic. If I had a law school professor here, I would melt
What
right
should
now.
we learn? What should we learn from class? We have to ask it back to
Well,
the
it's
teacher.
interesting because I do think we forget that we have to breathe into our diaphragm and that our diaphragm is a muscle that can be exercised. And, you have a difficult conversation and you're breathing shallowly, it's going to affect how you show up for that. You have a difficult conversation and you stand in the back of the room and you do 3 deep breaths, and there's a breath expert here. That's a skill set. Having that is just, it changes everything. So thank you very much. I thought I saw somebody else raise their hand.
I think you're going to be here. Oh, go ahead.
I did.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Yes.
But you did say something that your teacher
Yeah.
was asking, and it's intention.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I always talk about we have to be both intentional and specific, and I learned from being an actor. Actors who you don't believe are not being specific about what's happening in the moment, paying attention, the objective of the character in that moment. So yes, intentionality and specificity are probably the most important skill sets, other than learning that I had a body.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Someone had a dream job for a while, and then on some circumstances had to leave it also for a while and do a survival job in order to pay bills. So there was like an emotional barrier on like trying to coming back to the industry, especially the entertainment industry. Like you don't feel the same person anymore.
Yes.
So any advice on it?
Well, it's funny because that's exactly how I felt when when your dream job being a lawyer, which was a dream, there was that, fell apart for me. I lost my job April 15th. I'm not going to put the year on it, but I shut the lights and stole the stapler because they didn't need it anymore, and I still have it. I had to come back from that. I remember that night wailing at the ceiling loudly with sound. And actually not knowing what was going to happen, and then taking it day by day, meeting people, getting to know them, trying to figure out what it was what were my skill sets, what could I bring to the world, not about an industry, not about a job, and getting more elemental. And that really did help me make the choice that I made. But it is a long journey, and it's not easy. I was rocked. My world was rocked in that moment. And we just bought a house and we had to pay a mortgage, and right? Like you have that trapping of what that job brings. So I do think it's taking time, and it is traumatic. And stepping into that vulnerability. I appreciate your asking the question. I hope the book will make a difference for anybody who's trying to make a shift, or those who want to stay where they are. It has meaning for both places. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone so much. Thank you, Pam. I think you're going to sign.
Yeah.
Sign books. But this was so inspiring. And please do. It's an easy, fast read. Like it really is. It's a fun read.
Yeah.
So
And
please
buy
go
lots
and
of books from
exercises.
Zibbys, and then come back so they have to
Zibbys, thank
reorder
you.
more. So
Thank you for having
you.
us.
I just want to say thank you to Pam Sherman, to Talia Bender-Small. I
Thank
picked your
you.
name earlier. This was so fun. What a fascinating, dynamic conversation.